All right, what's happening, everybody? Welcome to G.W.R. Gonzo'S Wrestling Room, Tuesday, March 21st, 2023. I'm Chris Gonzo'S, joined by Tony Gonzalez. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing well.
And we have special guest pro wrestler Sage Phillips joining us. How you doing?
Good, man. How are you guys?
Hanging in there.
Yeah, not too bad at all. Dad, I'll let you get started so I can check the sound and all that good stuff real quick.
Okay, Sage. Where are you originally from?
I am born and raised and currently residing in Bloomington, Indiana, which is about hour south of Indianapolis.
Okay. What got you into pro wrestling?
I was really just flipping through channels back in. I got into wrestling in 2007. First thing I ever saw in professional wrestling was TNA Impact, actually, on Spike TV. It was Abyss versus Christian Cage. That was the first match I ever saw. And I think it was Abyss that really hooked me into wrestling, ironically enough. This big monster with the mask. I was like, oh, what is this? And he was having like a blood feud with Christian at the time. So I was trying to figure out what is all this. So once I got into it, I just dove in the deep end, looked into Wikipedia, every information I could find. And then in 2008 is when I think the first Raw of 08 actually is the first time I started watching WWE. And then they have all this history to look into. So I remember going to junior high, going early to go to the computer and Wikipedia and everything I could find in terms of like title belts, champions, wrestlers, events, anything I could find, just to get as much history as I can into my head.
Who trained you to be a pro wrestler?
I was trained by Billy Rock, who was also trained Mance Warner, who's been on MLW, AEW, and as well as Ruby Soho, who, of course, from WWE and AEW fame.
How long have you been wrestling now?
My first match was October 4th of 2015. So this year will be 8 years once it's October.
What's been the hardest thing for you to learn in pro wrestling?
Man, that's a hard one to answer, honestly, because there's so many things to apply that in wrestling in terms of like being comfortable with the crowd, being comfortable what you're doing in ring, being able to be organic in ring. So it's a little bit of variables. I'm not naturally an athletic guy, so I think learning the athletic parts of wrestling have always been a challenge for me. But like to me, the challenge has been rewarding because I've been able to do things I wouldn't be able to do when I was a teenager getting into wrestling.
Did you play any other sports in high school or anything? Or
I did. I tried basketball and baseball, and I was in like grade school and junior high, but I never got into it. I did amateur wrestling from 8th grade till junior year.
That in the Bloomington area?
Yes, in Bloomington.
I coached high school wrestling for 10 years.
Nice. That's awesome. I recently reconnected with my junior high wrestling coach, and it was really good seeing him. I thanked him for helping me learn how to condition myself to prepare myself in pro wrestling.
Yeah, we've been heavily involved in wrestling. I coached a wrestling club, Muncie Pal Club here in Muncie for about 28 years.
Oh, that's awesome.
He wrestled, and then he coached with me. And then, like I said, he wrestled in high school and then coached in high school also, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love wrestling. Love it.
Yeah.
Something wrong here.
Let's see here. What's the best piece of advice that you've been given in pro wrestling and also in life?
I think the best one I could say is from Jonathan Gresham, actually, former Ring of Honor world champion. I did a lot of seminars under him and got under his wing back in 2017, 2018, and it's simply being undeniable, having to make yourself be undeniable through adversity. With me being 5'5", I know I'm not the biggest wrestler around, but like I've had to overcome that obstacle and prove my worth times two compared to everybody else that's wrestling in the independents right now. So by far, it's making yourself undeniable and showing your worth to yourself and to promoters, other wrestlers, and everybody in the wrestling scene.
Gresham is unbelievable.
Yeah,
I wish more people knew about him. He is outstanding.
Yeah, absolutely.
What about in life? Any advice that you still carry today in life?
even in that too, in terms of like being able to apply myself through my private life, and in my work life outside of wrestling, just being able to having to go through obstacles is just you still got to make yourself undeniable outside of wrestling. It just applies to anything in life that you do.
You got a favorite wrestling move that you liked when you first seen professional wrestling, then a favorite move that you like to do, and also a move that you could care less if you ever seen again.
The favorite wrestling move I like to see, honestly, was Abyss's Black Hole Slam. I thought it was so cool as a kid, seeing him just swing around bodies like it was nothing. Favorite move I like to do, it's a tough one. I really like doing the standing sliced bread, which is a tribute to Billy Rock. He was his finishing move, so I made it into my finishing move as well. We call it pure dynamite. And then the wrestling move that I careless of seeing at this point. I'm not a personally. This does not apply to everybody, but I'm personally not a big fan of the person holding on to the hand, going up to the ropes and doing the drop up arm drag in the corner.
Yeah.
Not personally, it's not a fan of that.
Okay. What's one thing that you love about the wrestling business and one thing that you dislike about the wrestling business?
I love to travel. I love getting to see. I've not wrestled out of country, but I've gotten to see Canada. I've gotten to travel about like 80% of the country because of professional wrestling. I've gotten to see things I know I wouldn't have seen if I stayed in my hometown. The dislike, in terms of like, there's always drama in any workplace, I would say. So, and wrestling has its own drama in workplace, but I feel like it's very public now because of Twitter and social media. So I feel like that combo together has made things like, I wish I would keep in private compared to everybody else wanting to say, oh, what's going on? What's going on? I just feel like some things just should stay private instead of being blasted for social media.
Yeah, I agree. 100%. You said you've been all over the country. Roughly, how many states have you wrestled in?
I recently was talking with this about someone else this past weekend. I believe 15 states now at this point. A lot of Midwest, New Jersey. The furthest west I've wrestled is Kansas, and the furthest east would be Massachusetts, I would say.
Leaving Indiana out of it, what was your favorite state?
Massachusetts was really cool to see, like being that far northeast and seeing just a different not different country, but a different environment, different vibe of a town compared to the small town in the Midwest.
When you go to the other states, is there a big difference in how like the locker rooms are, or maybe like the style of wrestling?
Style of wrestling, it can really just depend on promotion for promotion. I think it's more so the vibe compared to Midwest has more, I think, chill and I think a lot of people have said this too. Like they're very like handshake heavy, a lot about respect. East Coast is a bit more rugged, especially with the New Jersey and Philadelphia crowds, and definitely more of a smarter fan base in that area. Don't get me wrong, the Midwest has the smart crowds, like especially in the Chicago area, the bizarre lucha crowds, very, very into wrestling. But there's casuals too, which there's nothing wrong with either or, but it just depends on where you're at. Wrestling just gives off a different vibe.
One thing that you would change about the wrestling business if you could?
Make flights cheaper. That'd be the big one right now. Is make flights cheaper right now.
And I also I seen a story on you the other day, and I wanted to touch on that, if that was okay.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I guess, and I'm not sure. I thought I knew how to pronounce this, but then the spelling kind of threw me off on it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you could go ahead and tell us about it a little bit. I know it's a form of autism.
Yes. So
I
I discussed this with the local Terre Haute News a couple months ago. I was diagnosed around first grade with Asperger's syndrome, which is a mild form of autism. It's more so focused on the social cues that you are not able to pick up as a kid. For me specifically, it was best example would be like if I was in school, I couldn't understand this math problem that everybody else could, I would like flip out and cry in front of everybody, like making a scene, even though people was like, hey, it's okay if you don't get this, but like for me it freaked me out.
Mm-hmm.
And for me too, like I also had focuses on like one topic and I would only love that topic. So when I was young, like it was dinosaurs, for example, or animals. So I'd only want to talk about dinosaurs. I'd only want to talk about animals. And if someone tried to change the topic or say, hey, well, what about this? I'd be like, that's cool, but let's keep talking about this. So wrestling, I think definitely my Asperger's took a hold of wrestling when I discovered it, but it also helped me learn how to be more social and be able to understand cues through hard lessons as well, in terms of having embarrassing moments in front of people, which happened. So I taught myself like, oh, I'm not going to let this happen again in the future by acting this way around it. I remember when I was a kid, especially like later in junior high and high school, like practicing facial expressions in front of a mirror to react to certain things, so I knew how to react to certain topics or certain conversations. So it's all a lot been a trial and error. But wrestling, I think, is definitely the most thankful thing I am for wrestling is it helping me with my social cues and being able to be more social as a human being.
So, can you say how difficult that's been? I mean, I would think that would have to be to be a pro wrestler, and I'm not saying you're searching for perfection, but you want to do things well. And and with your situation, how hard is that to be able to deal with?
It's difficult at times. I've learned to accept like not everything is in my control, especially as I've gotten older. Uh, I used to get bummed out about things and compare myself to others. It's just not a healthy thing to do. This journey in pro wrestling is my own, and I am learning to, especially as I get older, to just enjoy the journey and not stress about the destination. If I have a bad match, oh, okay, I'll learn from that match and do better. If I mess this move up, oh, I'll practice on this move and do better. It's more so just I'm enjoying what I'm doing as I'm going forward, enjoying the path that it takes me.
Well, so you had a big fan of me. I think you're outstanding in the ring.
Appreciate
I love watching your matches. I like the technical stuff that you do. Um, uh, the match you just seen recently, the submission match, I thought was outstanding.
Oh yeah, that was real good.
Thank
really,
you.
really enjoyed it. I'm old school, so I like more of the old school style wrestling. I'm almost 60 years old, so I've been around for a long time. So been watching wrestling since I was about 7 years old.
About every day.
And I watch wrestling pretty much every day now too. So
That's awesome. That's awesome.
I watch it all. So but yeah, I'm really impressed with your ring skills and stuff. Is it pretty hard for you on the mic?
Yeah, it's always been a little challenging for me. It's a lot easier in front of a crowd than if I'm at home. If I had to cut a promo for a promotion at home, it's a lot more difficult for me to like, oh, I got to set up my camera to this position. I got to try and get in the zone. It's a lot easier, definitely, if I'm at a show in front of an audience with the mic in my hand, where I have to react to the audience and see how they're sounding.
Marcus Fine said the submission match is one of the top matches that he's seen this year.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I agree with that statement. Yeah.
And me and you were just talking about that last night.
Yeah. Yep.
I was really worried in terms of like, I feel like submission matches are not that popular per se. So I was really worried about how people would react to the match. But I feel like with how everything went, I was really, really happy with how it came off. And like getting the victory over Jordan Dye is always a plus.
Yep.
Oh yeah, it was real good. I agree with him and Marcus. It was one of the best matches we've seen this year.
Thank you.
What would you be doing if you wasn't a pro wrestler?
So in another life, I do have my associate's degree. I was a veterinary assistant for a brief time. I couldn't commit to the job just because I wanted to focus on wrestling. So if I wasn't wrestling, I would either be in some sort of field involving animals, or I would be a paleontologist digging up dinosaur bones in the middle of Montana.
Would you ever like to own your own wrestling company or to book a show?
I've helped book shows before. Even before I was wrestling, I threw in my ideas to promotions like, hey, what if we tried this and this? I think I like the idea of being able to book, but the financial part of it and the stresses of being able to make sure everybody is happy and not trying to get heat for not being able to appease everything, I would not enjoy that part of it.
I would think it'd be very difficult.
Yeah. So I commend anybody that's a wrestling promoter, because it's such a hard thing to do to try to even just break even at least, let alone making money for a wrestling show.
Yeah, making money and then trying to make people happy. No matter what you do, it's hard to make people happy.
Right. It's like being a manager at a job, but you can only do so much, but you're going to push some people at certain points.
How did you get into the independent wrestling? Like, how did you get with Billy Rock to get trained?
So through Billy, it goes back to me finding Ring of Honor. I found Ring of Honor through their HDNet era in 2009. So my grandparents had that channel. I saw they were going to have a live show for Survival of the Fittest 2009. So I went there, watched the show, and then Mike Williams, who ran Insanity Pro Wrestling in Indianapolis back in the day, he was promoting and sharing out flyers for his show. It was the Super Junior tournament of 2009, the November date. And I saw B-Boy was on that show. And B-Boy, I had seen one of the first wrestling DVDs I got was PWG Best Sells Out Volume 1. He was on that show. So I was like, oh, I'll check this out. So I saw Aaron Williams, Lewis Linden, Irish Airborne, John Moxley, when he was like first breaking in at the time, Billy Rock, all of them with the show. It was like, what? And they ran every month. And then so I was like, wow, I'm going to go to this. And so I saw Billy through him wrestling those shows. And I kept in contact with him as I got older. And then I graduated college end of 2014, and I immediately started training for wrestling in 2015.
We went to some of them Insanity Pro Wrestling shows.
Yes.
Oh, nice. I probably saw you guys at some point then.
We was at the one that it was one of the last independent shows that Bryan Danielson did before he went back the second time. He'd been to WWE and got fired, and then he was going back, and Moxley was on that show
Moxley
too.
was on that show.
I was there. It was Moxley and Jimmy Jacobs Power Street Fight, and then it was Drake Younger versus Bryan Danielson. I was there for that one.
Yeah, we was at that show.
Yep.
Wild.
That was a crazy show.
That was a really good show.
A real good show. I remember the whole crowd followed him outside during that street fight and back in. Yeah. It was cool.
People that you would like to work with that you haven't had the opportunity to yet.
I got one coming up actually in Spencer for Unsanctioned Pro. Me versus Trey Lamar. I think he's really finding himself in the independent scene. He's been working all over the Midwest and the East Coast as well. I think our styles very clash in a positive way. I want to wrestle in terms of I really want to wrestle Billy Starks in an intergender match. I've seen her literally grow up in the professional wrestling scene, and I want to test myself against her and see how well she's gotten. Who else? I'm trying to think. There's a lot.
You said she's on AEW Dark tonight.
She's on AEW Dark tonight against.
I'm on Ring of Honor too. I think she's going to be on MLW coming up, so she's a busy woman.
She's on MLW tonight also.
Against Tony Storm.
Tony Storm tonight on Dark, and then she's on MLW tonight also. Heck yeah.
Yeah,
she's doing she's doing very well. She's going to make it big, I think.
One of the hardest working wrestlers out there by far.
Favorite match that you've had so far, and if you got more than one, that's fine.
The first one that pops in my head was I wrestled Jimmy Jacobs back in 2018 for Nova Pro Wrestling. It was in Fairfax, Virginia, and it's on IWTV if it's one to be seen. It was definitely a test for myself, and I want to prove myself against like a veteran like Jimmy Jacobs. I wrestled Jonathan Gresham as well twice. The second one we wrestled 27 minutes, which was a huge test for myself. And at the time, like I just remember being so nervous and like trying to keep up with him. And like nowadays, I definitely want to revisit that at some point and test myself against him again. What else that pops in my head? That was really good. I really enjoyed me and Cole Radrick's dog collar match from it was the end of 2021. We had a big feud in New Wave, and that was our last Raw.
Where can I find that at? I'm a huge dog collar.
It's on. I believe it's actually on YouTube. That specific match is on YouTube for free.
I will be looking for it.
Absolutely.
Would that be under New Wave on YouTube?
Yeah, New Wave Pro.
I will definitely look that up. I'm a huge.
Yeah, since you said dog collar, I knew you were going to ask.
Yeah, I love dog collar matches. I remember as a fan, like CM Punk versus Raven. the early ROH days, watching that match. Punk and Jimmy Rave as well. That dog car match. Austin Aries and Jimmy Jacobs, their blow off the dog car match. Yeah, one of my favorite stipulations.
Yeah, of course I'm old, so mine goes back to Piper and Greg the Hammer Valentine.
Nice.
And then also, one recently, the tag team dog collar match, Ring of Honor, FTR and
Briscoes.
Briscoes.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one yet. I really want to.
It was really good.
Yeah, we had a question. Billy wanted to know if you've ever wrestled in Hartford, Connecticut.
I've not. I don't think I drove through it when I went to Boston, but I definitely would love to at some point.
Marcus says, so you remember when you and Nate Matthews flew into my lap?
Yes, I do. That match with Nate's also one of my favorite, probably one of my favorites I had for 2021 as well. It was a really, really good match.
I'll bet. I'd like to see that.
Oh yeah. Did you have a well, that's the next question, but you may have answered it in a way. Favorite opponent?
Gresham's always tested me when I wrestled him. Cole as well in his own way. In terms of being, we literally grown up together in the wrestling business, so it's always a test to myself wrestling him. Same goes with Ace Perry. Ace Perry is one of the best pound for pound wrestlers in Indiana, and he's gotten to show that to people all over. And by far, like definitely one of the best to go in ring.
Yeah, he's good as well.
I'm gonna put you on the spot. This question just coming to my head. If you don't want to answer it, you don't have to. But just your opinion. If you had to name, and I'll say this because if it was Blake Money Wright, it would be just Blake Money Wright would just put himself on the list. But top 3 pro wrestlers in your opinion in Indiana.
In Indiana, let me see. Billy Rock, definitely for his ability and for historical reasons. Like he was the patriarch of what wrestling sprouted out to be. Jake Oman, who's helped out so much with the Indiana wrestling scene with him with his current training school, the White River Wrestling Academy, highly recommend. And then I will say he's one of the best, and to me, one of the most underrated wrestlers right now is Josh Crane. I've known him since I started out. We are this legitimately a week apart in age, and everybody thinks he's a deathmatch wrestler, but he's shown, especially this past year, that he's a great wrestler. And I definitely think people should be keeping an eye on him.
I haven't got to see him live yet. I've seen him on tape, but I haven't seen him live yet. That's one that I definitely want to see.
Absolutely.
About everybody says Jake Oman.
Yeah.
Yeah. I go way back with Jake as well.
Yeah, we do too. We seen him first time probably about 2008, 2009.
Yeah.
Yep, sounds right. I saw him first time at a Bloomington show actually back in 2010.
We seen him because he was working for
EWF
out of Marion.
Yeah.
We seen him.
That's where he first met him, and he actually done commentary with us
just recently.
In December or January. A couple months ago, he done commentary with us at a show.
Nice.
Did you have a favorite pro wrestler growing up? I know you said Abyss, but
CM Punk. I think that's definitely what comes to mind. CM Punk. He was definitely a big influence for me growing up.
Well, since you brought that up, I'll ask your opinion on that. What did you think happened there with AEW and Punk?
I think unfortunately, it's like it goes back to like private stuff that shouldn't be on a public forum, like getting shown on a public forum. Like it's unfortunately a messy situation with what happened, and it's unfortunate what the fallout happened. Hopefully, like I feel like at this point in this life, I just hope he finds peace with what he does and just be able to enjoy what he does. Like there's no there's obviously a lull between both parties, but in terms of like finding their peace, like that's all I hope for both parties at that point.
Yeah, I think everything that he said was probably true. I just don't think he should have said it where he said it. That should be, like you said, should be behind closed doors.
Right, absolutely.
Do you think he'll ever wrestle again?
I don't know. Like, I think he was content not wrestling for when he did, but AEW gave him such a good opportunity that he wanted to see again. If he got what he wanted out of wrestling the brief time, like, because he did some really good while he came back. So if he wants to do more, I'm sure he'll find more to do. But I think it's more so he enjoys like the non-physical part of it more.
Plus the injuries too. I mean,
Yeah,
he was
that's
just,
too. Yeah,
he
yeah.
was just getting injured. It seemed like almost every time he stepped in the ring, he was getting injured again. So I don't know if his body could do it.
Do you do any of the death match stuff?
I've not done a death match, and like to me, it's like I respect deathmatch wrestling, and I respect the workers that are really good at it. It's personally, I'm not personally a fan of it. I've done hardcore matches, and I have bled on matches that have been a big blow off of a feud. But for me personally, it depends on the deathmatch worker, but personally, up to my body.
I don't blame you.
Yeah.
A fantasy opponent. If somebody came to you, hey, we're gonna put you in a 10,000 seat arena and you can wrestle anybody, dead or alive, anybody, you're gonna be in the main event. Who would you pick?
Whew. And in his prime, Regal would be really cool.
Yeah,
Yep.
that would be cool.
In prime Regal, in prime Dean Malenko, in prime Eddie Guerrero. All those three those are the top three for me right now. Like the wrestlers are who I think of.
Yeah, you and Malenko, I would have loved to see.
Oh, Billy Robinson too. I think that'd be a real an old school one. That'd be
Yep.
a fun one.
Yep. Best decision that you've made in your wrestling career, and also the worst decision that you've made in your wrestling career.
Best decision I made in my wrestling career. I'd say like just starting in the beginning is like finding a good trainer, finding a consistent trainer that has a good reputation. That goes a long way, and especially because I went to shows while I was training, filming. Before I wrestled, I was filming shows to try and just make establishment and make connections. So for that, I would say definitely if you're going to start out, start up with a good trainer so you have that good foundation to start with. And then bad decision through wrestling. I guess it's more so just like ignoring injuries that have happened. I've had a few concussions that I've not taken care of, and looking back, I probably should have gotten that checked out or wrestled hurt when I shouldn't have wrestled hurt.
With all the shows that you do, does it make it hard? I know sure you're probably working another job too. So does it make it hard to have time to train?
Yeah, it's a balancing act. I've been able to thankfully roll around G.W.R school when I have the free weekend. During the week is difficult because of my shoot job, and then trying to balance out obvious other life commitments outside of wrestling. But for what I'm doing, I feel like I'm making it work.
Toughest match that you've been in, and the easiest match you've been in.
Toughest match, I'd say, just because it was a test to myself, would probably either be both my longest singles matches would be against one was Jonathan Gresham, a 27-minute match. Then there was Ace Perry for 48 minutes. And that was just more so making sure I could keep up with both of them. And I felt like I was able to for both those matches. Easiest match I would say would be Battle Royals. You may just get chopped a lot, but it's easy at the end of the night.
Any style of match that you haven't done yet that you would like to do?
Style of match I've not done yet. Done pure rules, done color. Trying to think. Not done I quit. I've done submissions, but I've not done I quit match. I think that would be cool to do.
Yeah, that would be good.
Something different that's not commonly done in the indie scene right now.
What's your ultimate goal in the wrestling business?
I think the ultimate goal for me at one point was to be able to make a living off wrestling, just wrestling alone. It still is. I think more of a shorter term goal right now is I want to be able to wrestle internationally. I want to be able to go to England. I want to go to Germany. I want to go to Japan. Those are the goals I'm really striving for currently.
If you, which one would you pick first? What country? I mean, if you had to pick one, which one?
Japan by far. Japan.
Yeah.
For the wrestling, for the culture. I'm a big anime and gaming nerd too, so I go to P's all that stuff all in one with a trip like that.
I was getting ready to ask you about hobbies, so you kind of
yeah. Right. So yeah, outside of wrestling, I love my cats. I do enjoy my shoot job a lot. I love reading. I game a lot. when I can. And then working out. I definitely enjoy fitness, enjoy taking care of my body.
Favorite food?
Ooh, favorite food. I guess I would say honestly peanut butter. I love peanut butter. Seems like a go-to, like still sugary, but still like semi-healthy snack that you can go to.
Your Mount Rushmore professional wrestler.
I just got asked this on the car load actually. So it'd be CM Punk, Christian Cage, Jeff Hardy, honestly, Eddie Edwards, and then I think one more. What to say? Jimmy would be up there. Jimmy Jacobs.
I think, if I'm correct, I think he's in Impact Wrestling. Isn't he
I
still?
think he's a writer. Yes.
Yeah, I think he's writing there. I know he was with WWE and
Yep.
I think hated it, and I think purposely got fired from there.
Maybe. Yeah, I'm not sure. He's an interesting cat for sure.
I remember reading a story about that
We met him probably 2008
at the same
2000,
time through EWF also.
Mhm.
Mary. Yep.
That's where we met a lot of the guys that we still see some of them today back in like 2007, 2008 through EWF, and also at that Insanity Pro Wrestling that you had mentioned. You got anything else?
Yeah. Working with different promotions, how much do you have say on your matches?
Like with most independent wrestling shows, I feel like I do have a lot of say, and like people, especially with where I'm at in wrestling right now, they value my opinion in terms of like how I feel like a match should go, how long it should go, or just the result of the match. But I'm also very much a team player and want to talk with the promoter and think of the long term, like good game plan for that match or feud.
How's your experience been? Has your experience been pretty much positive most of the time going to these different promotions, or
Oh, absolutely.
are you had any? I mean, I'm not asking you to out anybody, but have you had any bad experience?
Oh, like I feel like everybody at some point has a bad experience wrestling. Like I've been doing it for 7 years. I definitely have had my share of bad experiences, but like it's learning through the bad to get to the good, and is how I treat it. Like, yes, there's been bad experiences, but like I've been able to apply myself and learn, like, oh, like I will learn from these experiences and continue to go on board and appreciate the good even more when I get to experience the good.
We've been doing it for about a year and 3/4. Really, we haven't had a bad experience. We've seen a little bit of a bad experience, but it wasn't us.
Yeah,
Right, right.
It wasn't towards us. It was just a bad promoter, and he's no longer around. So, but,
Mhm.
most places we go to, it's all seems like basically like a big family.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's
Always-
most vibe for most indie shows is the family vibe for it.
yeah, definitely, and a lot of respect, and the fans are. I really haven't seen any really bad fans, to be honest with you. Can you think of any? I really haven't seen. I've seen a few fans get a little rowdy, but nothing out of the way.
Well, that one show we wouldn't have that fan got in the ring.
That's true. I forgot about
That was like a couple weeks after we was at that show.
Yeah, but that was the next day. He got
Or
in the ring.
next day. Yeah,
It was the next day because we went at that show, and the fan. I guess the next day, fan tried to get in the ring and
Goodness, that's never a good idea.
got stomped on a little bit. But
Yep, sounds right.
well, Chris, you got anything else? I pretty much went through mine.
Was there anything else that you wanted to talk about that we didn't hit? And if you have any social media things that
Yeah, absolutely.
Mark,
I have Twitter at SagePhillips7, Instagram at SagePhillips_7. I have a Pro Wrestling Tee store as well. Just look up Sage Phillips for t-shirts. I think that covers it. But no, I appreciate you guys taking your time to talk to me and like letting me give my little bit of insight about myself and my career.
Oh yeah, hey, you're welcome back anytime. Anytime you got something you want to promote or talk about.
you got any real quick before we go, you got any big matches coming up?
This coming weekend, I will be at AEW in Chicago. I don't know if I'm going to be having a match, but I'll be helping out. Saturday, I will be wrestling for Wrestle Arts up in Indianapolis. I guess Avery Hertz. Good young kid. pretty new to the business. Looking forward to testing myself against him. Trey Lamar coming up in Spencer. That is April 28th. I want to say on that one. What else? I'm trying to think.
Is that a Cole Radrick show?
Yes, it's Cole Radrick's lineup with Unsanctioned Pro, who they're based off Columbus, Ohio.
I heard the tickets are selling pretty good for that as well.
Front row sold out, and we're almost out of second row too.
Cool.
Or will you be at Summit Pro?
Yes, I will be at Summit Pro. I'm not sure what I'm doing that show, but I will be there.
All right, cool. So I know we'll see you there.
Yeah, we'll be there.
Absolutely.
That's April 9th. Yep.
You got anything there?
No, I'm good to go.
All right. Well, we appreciate you coming on, man. And like he said, you're welcome anytime.
Anytime.
Thank you. You guys have a good night.
Yeah, you too.
Yep.
And for anybody watching, before we get out of here, please hit that subscribe button on YouTube at Gonzo Sports Room. We'd greatly appreciate it. And at the All Sports All Plays Network. Like and follow Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, all at Gonzo Sports Room as well. That's where we post everything about all of our upcoming shows. And on Thursday, we have another interview with pro wrestler Jake Elliott. He's a young guy in the business, so come check that out.
Yep.
And then we got a whole weekend full of wrestling going on this weekend. Friday at the Indiana Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame ceremony. Saturday, DCCW 5th year anniversary, and then Sunday, Warrior Pro Wrestling in Danville. And you'll be able to find all that live on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter at Gonzo Sports Room and at the All Sports All Plays Network. But thanks for joining us. This has been G.W.R. Gonzo's Wrestling Room, and we will see you guys next time.